In this video, we will talk about how to add and subtract square roots. So I have a few examples for us to work through here. Let's check out this first one. Let's say we have the square root of 5 plus the square root of 5. So when we're adding square roots or subtracting square roots, here's the rule. We're only allowed to add and subtract square roots that have the same value under the square roots. So notice we have a 5 right here and a 5 right here. So we're allowed to add these two together. Now the way that we do it is we simply add the values in front of the square roots. So notice there's nothing in front of the square roots, so we can just assume that it's a 1. So a 1 times square root of 5 plus the 1 times square root of 5. So what we do is we say, what is 1 plus 1? That's just 2. So this would be 2 times the square root of 5. So that's our final answer. All right, let's try another example. Let's say we have 2 times the square root of 3 plus 6 times the square root of 3. So since these values under the square roots are the same, we're allowed to add them. So all we have to do is say, what is 2 plus 6? That's 8. So our final answer here is going to be 8 times the square root of 3. And that's our final answer. All right, let's try this example. We have the square root of 8 minus the square root of 2. So notice right now the values under the square roots are not the same, so we can't directly subtract these. But one trick that we can use is we can factor this 8. So we could say, instead of writing the square root of 8, we could write the square root of, let's say, 4 times the square root of 2, since 4 times 2 is equal to 8. And what we'll notice is that the square root of 4 is just 2. So really this is 2 times the square root of 2. So this is just another way to write the square root of 8. So we have 2 times the square root of 2 minus the square root of 2. And if we want to imagine there's just a 1 out front here, notice that the square root values are now the same. So all we have to do is subtract the values in front of the square roots. So 2 minus 1, that's just 1. So we just get 1 times the square root of 2. Or if we want, we can just write the square root of 2. So that's our final answer. All right, let's try this example. We have the square root of 45 minus 2 times the square root of 5. So again, these values right under the square roots are not the same. So let's see if we can factor one of them. So 45 we could write as the square root of 9 times the square root of 5, since 9 times 5 is equal to 45. So we'll notice the square root of 9 is just 3. So this can be rewritten as 3 times the square root of 5. And now we have minus 2 times the square root of 5. So the square root values are the same, so all we have to do is just subtract the values out front. So we get 3 minus 2 is 1. So we get 1 times the square root of 5, or just the square root of 5. So that's our final answer. All right, let's try this example. We have the square root of 36 plus the square root of 12. Well, we'll notice that the square root of 36, that's just 6. So we can write 6 plus, instead of writing the square root of 12, let's see if we can factor this 12. So we could write the square root of 4 times the square root of 3. And we'll notice the square root of 4 is just 2. So we can write 6 plus 2 times root 3. And there's no other way to simplify this, and we don't have a square root right here to add. So this is just going to be our final answer. All right, let's try one more example. Let's say we have the square root of 18 plus the square root of 32 minus 3 times the square root of 2. So notice right now, none of the values under the square roots are the same. So let's see if we can start by simplifying some of these square roots. So the square root of 18 we could write as the square root of 9 times the square root of 2, plus the square root of 32 we could write as the square root of 16 times the square root of 2, and then we'll just leave this one as minus 3 root 2. So we'll notice that the square root of 9 is just 3, so this can be written as 3 times the square root of 2, plus the square root of 16 is 4, so we'll say 4 times the square root of 2, and then we have minus 3 times the square root of 2. So notice now all of these square root values are the same, so that means we can directly add and subtract the numbers out front. So we get 3 plus 4, that's 7, minus 3 is 4. So our final answer is going to be 4 times the square root of 2. And that is our final answer.